Why did Ji-hun dye his hair red? What do all of those shapes on the masks of the guards really mean? Why did they place the money inside a piggy bank and lifted the piggy bank to the ceiling in the dorm room? Don't swipe or click away because here's what the signs in Squid Game mean. What do the squares, triangles, and circles mean? The first weird thing that we notice about this game are all of the symbols that the show uses for their character. The first thing are those white shapes on the masks of each of the guards, and after a little digging, we found out that it's a simple reference to the ranks. The squares are the guards at the top. They can talk, they can use the CCTV cameras around the facilities, and they can even talk to the frontman, the person we thought ran the games. Under them are the triangles. These are the guys with middle rank. They still have to obey the orders from the squares, but they still have a lot more authority than the lowest rank. In Squid Game, they're the guys with the guns, and they're responsible for killing of the disobedient contestants and those who have failed the game. Now at the bottom, you have the contestants with the lowest ranks. They cannot speak unless spoken to, they are unaware and surprised by what's going on, and their primary role is to clean up the dead bodies that pile on the game fields. If you remember, police officer Hwang Jun-ho first played a guard with a circle shape on his mask, but then managed to get a mask with a square, leading a group of people beneath him. But these aren't the only characters that we see on the show.
I thought hard about what I'd do. If I were the one who got out, since you asked me earlier.
So what's the meaning of the characters? First of all, we have the poor and the desperate, and then you have the rich and the powerful, who are completely detached from the game. The first group is placed in one giant room. They're given marked clothes that all look the same. This is further signified by all of them. Smash that like button, just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, it's signified by wearing the same clothes. They're stripped off all of their individuality and are only referred to by the numbers that they wear on their jackets. This is to show the viewer that a capitalistic system has been known to reduce individuals to mere numbers, and this reference is perfectly captured by the creator of the show. The rich, on the other hand, are faceless. They're given golden masks to signify their nobility, and the only thing that distinguishes them from the other VIP rich guys is the difference in the animals that the masks represent. If we remember the last episode correctly, then this perfectly fits with the narrative of Oh Ir-nam. He says that the rich and the poor have one thing in common: they're both miserable. So in order for them to distinguish themselves from all the other rich guys, they only change their outside appearance. Other than that, there's nothing particular about any of them. They're all of the same. And if you were to swap the masks, you couldn't tell which is which in the group. They all behaved like a collective mind, and this quote from Ir-nam leads us to our next point.
Look at that. Forgot I had another one here.
The reason for creating the game. The rich have power, but they're miserable. The poor have no power, and they're miserable too. So what's the solution? Was the writer and the director of the show telling us that the rich are controlling the poor? It doesn't seem that way to us, at least not when we examine it on a much deeper level. When we first watched the show, we felt really happy when we saw Ji-hun winning the game. The players were always free to leave. They did leave, but then they came back because they were sick and tired of living their lives in misery. And we can never forget about the glimmer of hope in Ir-nam's last bet. Here you have the richest person of all the VIPs and the creator of the game betting on whether or not there are still good people in the world. Ji-hun didn't allow the system to grind him down. Regardless of how those pitiful millionaires treated the contestants, the winner was Ji-hun. Why? Because he's the embodiment of resistance, and he shows us that there's hope as long as we maintain our moral values. Even though 454 of the players succumbed to the pressures of the game and resorted to their primal and animal-like instincts for survival, he still kept a clear head in all of this. Speaking of which,
has a warrant out for his arrest. He's charged with forgery, embezzlement, crimes that are all some form of financial fraud.
The individual versus the team. The reason this show touched millions of people is that it showcased human nature distilled to its essence. It's a show about human ruthlessness when faced with a life or death situation, and the brilliance of Hwang Dong-hyuk comes from his ability to pin extremes and show us that neither of them is any good. For example, Sang-woo was ruthless, calculating, and all of his moves were intelligent, yet he still lost the game and we were happy when he died. To make a reference, the same thing happened with Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. He played the game just right but still got his throat slashed. That's why Ji-hun's empathy for the weak and his ruthlessness in the games made him the hero of the show. When you couple that with the unbending moral values regardless of his situation, well, that's when you have a really strong character, a leader, and a team player that doesn't fear fighting individually. Now compare that to…
Hey, you got eliminated, idiot. You can stop with the act.
the dehumanization of the frontman. When the frontman pulled the trigger on Jun-ho, He basically lost all connections with everything that is human. He became an idea, the idea of torture and the conviction that seeing others suffering is the only way to bring yourself some pleasure. He completely forgot to see Ji-hun's way of dealing with this insufferable world. He has been on both sides of the spectrum, very poor and then very rich, and he was still miserable in both scenarios.
Greetings. I hope your long trip here has not been too difficult. I am the front man.
The prize is no fun if you don't have anyone to share it with. If there's anything that this show wants to teach us, it would be that neither extreme is good. The rich are miserable because they have everything, the poor are miserable because they have nothing, and at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the time we spend with the people we love. Winning the cash prize made Ji-hun miserable because he lost every person he loved. He didn't care that he had billions of won in his bank account, his daughter went to the USA, Se-byuk was killed, Ir-nam was not the man he thought, Sang-woo died, and realizing that the only glimmer of hope, his mom, died as well while he was out pursuing money, shows us that it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. The only thing that matters is having enough time to spend with your loved ones, but don't take this to mean that you have to spend all of your time with family. If you do, then you have no means to enjoy life. The key would be to find a balance between having all the money in the world and having a great family that loves you. Neither is more important. They are the yin and yang of life. And in relation to this, we could say that we should feel sorry, we should pity the rich VIPs just as much as we pity the poor in the series. They're not in a better position than the poor. Financially, yes. Emotionally, no. Because when you really think about it, how broken do you have to be to seek pleasure in the pain of others? Oh, and here's one other question.
Sang-woo? Sang-woo, hello? I'm done with this side.
Why did Ji-hun dye his hair? Some say it's because pink represents the color of the guards and the ruling class in the city. That's just an analogy. When you look at the symbolism, you see that red represents love, passion, anger, and a burning desire for something. According to the director of the show, on one hand, this hairstyle represents Ji-hun's inability to go back to the past after everything he's been through and his fury and rage that are boiling inside of him for losing everyone he loved for a dehumanizing game. On a related note, do you think that Ji-hun will accept destroy the Squid Game organization, or will he become a part of it? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.